Hello, viewers and other people. Welcome back to another scenario, and today we have a banger. In this scenario, we have with Woofia and ASIA in the war. Now, giving you a real recap of Woofia. Woofia is a imaginary nation, and it's not even real. What if they were real and it's decided to expand into ASIA? Now we got every single Asian nations marked down, and we'll see what happened if Woofia decided to invade all Asian nations. There will be no NATO, no EU, so Turkey, you're on your own right now. No SCO, so sorry, China. No other defense pacts, right? The US and Japan, US and Taiwan, and South Korea, and the Philippines. That alliance is disbanded. Anyways, jump in. But Wolfian forces will march, first of all, Wolfian have 1.2 trillion troops available, so they should be able to make it a lot of land. The first country to invade is Japan. Now, Japan is a very honest nation. They were never invaded, never conquered in history. It's going to be interesting because Wolfia is a massive military powerhouse. So they decided to invade the less within the area. As I don't remember what this sign is called, so comment down below. A sign that Wolfian troops are invading, and then we have a clear landing spot for Wolfia. But Japan is not going to take that as much casualties, and they're starting to push back for Wolfians. Wolfia do decide to make another naval landing that's near the most popular cities. Wolfia have a record number of tanks, planes, warships, and stuff. And they decided to make a third naval landing. And they just call it goods. And decided to go on from there. And but that's when the base decided to invade. Well, they had to invade Japan first to get a foothold. These troops were pushed into the front here and here. While these fronts are holding out very well, these Russian troops are starting to die, not to fall back or reach chapter by Japanese forces. There are American military bases in Japan. I don't know how many, like 10, 20, probably more than 10, but who cares? But Japan they lost its island into Woofia. There's not a lot of troops. There's not a lot of Japanese troops in this region, but where Tokyo is, there is a lot of troops. Meanwhile, on this side, they push the Japanese out of this island. But the only way to really dominate them is to put in the Sea of Japan. It's controlled by some North Korean ships, but not all of them. China is mostly control their waters way. Anyways, back to Japan. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Just didn't mean that. There we go. And these forces have a lot of troops, and they are cutting Japan into two, and they managed to do so. By the way, Woofia have robot tanks. So their enemy is hard to defend, because I don't know about them. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not naming the robot tanks at all. They just have a lot of them now. Not a lot, powerful ones. Ones that can really red enemies on bunkers, cities, stuff like that. Before we get moving on, we just want to make sure of no war alliances. Well, I already discussed about that. It's just a fictional scenario because it will not be even real. If Woofia decided to declare war on all Asia except Russia, because Russia's capital is in Moscow, that is in Europe, Woofia will probably get the butt kicked out of Japan, most likely. Anyways, we'll keep moving on in this scenario. They now invading into the area with atomic bomb was dropped and they also invaded into this island. Japan is starting to fall apart because Woofia just made a naval landing. That's right here. Japan doesn't seem of like. In World War II, Japan didn't surrender until the U.S. dropped 2 atomic bombs on 2 Japanese cities in this area. But we remember that day that we won't use atomic weapons. Oh yeah, in this scenario, there would be no atomic nukes in this scenario. So China, North Korea, they're banned using nukes. Just kidding. You can use them in real life. That's not even a scary part about this, because North Korea and China is our enemy. Anyways, moving on. Wolfing forces out moving up into China. Well, not moving up into China, this is Japan. Moving up into Japan and capturing more and more troops. Well, these Japanese troops will probably be used as invasion force of the Korean Peninsula, just like Japan did in the past. As a terrible thing that Woofia did. Sorry, I have problems with my pen right now. Anyways, Woofia about to come to this side, and Woofia troops about to come to this side. There are not many naval forces from North Korea and China, especially focusing on their own defenses. And we finally see Japan lost their known route, and Japan is losing war. Well, but not alone. A lot of these areas is very much goners to Woofia imperial forces. I need to zoom out a little bit. It's just getting nasty. Sorry about that. We can also assume that Tokyo is right here soon, and Woofia forces are right here. Woofia forces land right here, and they land right in Tokyo. Now, in World War II, when the U.S. dared to invade the Japanese homeland, all people in Japan was armed to the teeth. And they are doing it right now, too. And that's for Woofians. But that's really not matter to Woofian forces. These are steamrolling the countryside of Japan. I'm literally just not massacring any civilians, just recruiting them to the fierce invasion of Korea and China. They easily take over this piece of land, and they now invade to here, central Japan. Now, Tokyo is captured by Woofia. It was cleared out successfully. And this part of Japan surrenders. Obviously fat about Japan not surrendering. The rest of Japan kept fighting now because their president is now in Woofian hands. And the rest of Japan just obviously surrender. Yep. One nation down, and I don't know how many to go. Well, this is how much Woofia haven't conquered yet. This is how much Woofia conquered in the first couple minutes of this video. Okay. We still can see naval battles between Woofians and against the Chinese and North Korean Navy. North Korea hasn't had a new destroyer since 1900s. Early late 20th century. So now Woofia is now going to invade Korea. They capture the Korean island right here with ease, and makes society invade South Korea itself, just for this side. Because we just got a lot of Japanese troops in their army in military. These Japanese troops are very well trained, and Woofia is taking a lot of notes about their successes in battle. These Koreans, Well, these South Koreans won't have any chance, but North, when it comes to the North, they are stalemate after they cross the border. Thereby that China just sent like millions of troops there. Woofia is also sending troops there too, and little like stalemate is formed in the Korean Peninsula. And South Taiwan will be invaded next. Taipei and the tip of Taiwan was taken over by Wolfian forces, and all in all is on falls. Now, Wolfia had two choices. They can invade the Chinese mainland, or they can go down to the islands. But the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, they chose option A, that's to go out to China. But to get out China out of the war. Can't even speak right now. They're like 2 times rate. I just hate myself right now because of reasons. Anyways, they made several landings on China. If this is fair or this is unfair for you guys, just saying. It's Woofia just overpowers scenario. Chinese troops are not rushing, but all the troops are in the Korean Peninsula. It's a pip for Woofia because they made a lot of gains in China. Yep. And Chinese now recognize it as a threat. They made several more landings, like one right here and one right here. But that one I spent a little bit too much. The point wondering, where's the Chinese Navy? The Chinese Navy is utterly perched right here. This bay protecting the capital without being bombed, something like that, by Wolfian armed forces. Now you probably may be wondering, where's Russia in this video? Well, Russia is fighting Ukraine, and that is that. That's unfortunate for Russia. Yes, their ally China and North Korea is being invaded. Well, just say that Russia is not allowed to intervene in this scenario. It's not an Asian nation at all. Well, 1/3 of their land is Asia, but I doesn't assume that they are an Asian nation. Anyways, moving on to the Korean stalemate is broken by Wolfian combined with Japanese troops and was chapter in the Wolfian occupation of Japan. And they marched into North Korean capital, and the Chinese troops fully fall back to their own nation. It's kind of weird because they want to say the ally, but since Japan doesn't want to have massive casualty rate. But number 2 is they had Wolfian troops on their soil, so keep them out as well. Yep, this is just not going well for anyone right now. You're probably wondering, where are Indian troops at this point? Well, they just mobilized for their own war, and it's terrorism. Something that we cannot understand. Alright, back down here, we have Wolfian troops marching into the coast, trying to get more ports, and they went into Hong Kong. These people in Hong Kong love Woofia. Don't know why. And they decided to fight Woofia and fight them for their independence. And they wrap around to get more ports. And yeah. I'm not sure where important ports are in China, just saying. Because I think the south is important. It's by boy the South China Sea. And oh, that's a mistake. Sorry about that. Basically, Wolfian troops are marching and driving their fancy looking robot tanks. Yep. China called to Pakistan and Iran for some backup, and Iran said no, we're not backing you up. That's just being rude. But the only other thing that's happening is Wolfian troops are starting to surround the Philippines a little bit. It's kind of like being a threat. But the Philippines made a deal to Woofia. And that deal is basically a peace treaty deal. Not to retire war, to themselves, to Woofia. If you don't obey us, we will give you military access. And Woofia says I made that deal possible, and the Philippines is a neutral nation. Once done. That medicine doesn't mean that they will be completely out of war. That would mean that the Philippines will rest. Well, they will kind of like, give them troops in their mobilization pad. But the Philippines will not be allowed to join Woofia's side. Because that would be a nightmare for China. Anyways, on the Chinese border, nothing happens along some skirmishes and raids by Woofia onto China. And the Chinese Navy is gone. So, sorry China, you had your chance, but you fail. Sorry, that's really bit aggressive. But meanwhile, in Central and Southern China, they made several advances. This is good, but the Chinese forces are on their way because they are at Beijing right now, protecting the capital on an ongoing invasion plan. Yes, Woofia doesn't want to go in Myanmar because Woofia knows if they come to Myanmar, they're going to have a huge problem. The Vietnamese are good guerrilla fighters. And yeah. But longer this war lasts, the more casualties each side taken, especially from China. Then we have a phone call from Xi Jinping all to Woofia capital with the leader of Lewis. Not talking about what's his name? King Louis. Talking about Lewis, a different Lewis. So they talked, and they finally made an agreement of the war ends. And basically nothing will happen to China, but the Korean Peninsula and Japan, Taiwan can be given to China. And the war is finally ordered to Asia and Woofia. And that's all from this scenario. I hope you guys enjoy. I can't go all the way to Turkey or anything like that because it would take a long time. It would be like an hour-long video. This is made to short. I hope someone were to make a long video of this version, because I literally don't have time at all yet. So I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving to all the nations that celebrate Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys see my other videos and my other channel, Harrison Martin Arts and Gaming. I see you guys next time. Goodbye.